Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this hearing on federal subsidies for electric cars. These government handouts are the centerpiece of the disastrous so-called Inflation Reduction Act. Just about everything that President Joe Biden claimed about the IRA is false. And, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy that you showed those signs, which point out the lawlessness of the Biden administration when it comes to the law. What the IRA really stands for, to me, is irresponsible, reckless, and alarming. So let's start with the cost. According to Goldman Sachs analysis, the electric car subsidies in the IRA will cost an estimated $393 billion. That analysis is 28 times more than what the Congressional Budget Office estimated. Our national debt is now $34 trillion, and thanks to the IRA, we're about to spend hundreds of billions of dollars that we don't have to subsidize electric cars that the great majority of Americans do not want. This is especially true in Wyoming, where electric cars simply cannot compete with conventional vehicles. The fact is, electric car subsidies go primarily to the state of California, where nearly 40% of all electric cars in America are being sold. So hardworking families in my home state of Wyoming and the chairman's home state of West Virginia and other states represented significantly by members of this committee really are getting stuck subsidizing wealthy people from California. The IRA is a shakedown. It's also becoming very clear that President Biden hasn't thought through the consequences of his so-called energy transition. His efforts to force-feed American electric cars is going to cause greater instability in our nation's electric system. There's a group we refer to as NERC. It's the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. It has warned of increased risks from the premature closure of coal and natural gas power plants. The Biden administration does not seem to care. The Biden administration is working to shut down even more of these power plants while promoting a huge new source of demand on the grid, which is, of course, electric cars. Just consider that fully charging a single electric car consumes the same amount of electricity needed to power an entire house during times of peak demand. Does the president have any clue that his math is not working? No one really believes that 2/3 of the new cars sold in America in 2032 are going to be electric. The Biden administration's fixation on these electric cars amounts to wishful thinking on his part. But despite generous subsidies, the demand for electric cars is stagnating. Car dealers are opting out of selling them and opting out of servicing them. Compared to owners of conventional cars, owners of electric cars are paying higher repair costs, higher insurance rates, and by the way, they are getting less resale value. And the headline today, Mr. Chairman, and I ask unanimous consent to put this in the record, is from Bloomberg. We talk about resale values. Hertz reports today they are going to sell 20,000 EVs in its shift back to gas-powered cars. So much for the Biden economy.
Without objection.
So the first paragraph of this, Hertz Global Holdings plans to sell a third of its U.S. electric vehicle fleet and reinvest in gas-powered cars, they say, due to weak demand and high repair costs for its battery-powered options. Well, the American public is seeing exactly the same thing, and they're getting hit with similar bills. The damage that the IRA will do to America's automotive sector is potentially catastrophic. First 9 months of 2023, Ford Motor Company alone lost $3.1 billion on electric cars. Losses like that can't go on for long. Perhaps worst of all, the IRA plays right into the hands of the Chinese and other foreign companies. You've heard the expression, follow the money. Well, if you want to follow the IRA money, the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, you're going to need a passport because the money is going all over the world. Mr. Chairman, as you have repeatedly pointed out, the Biden administration has allowed electric car subsidies to flow to foreign companies in countries that are hostile to American interests. Recently, the Chinese carmaker BYD topped Tesla as the world's largest electric car manufacturer. In Europe, that company outsold Tesla in the last quarter of 2023. BYD's goal is to be the biggest electric car manufacturer in Europe by the year 2030. The administration has said it welcomes Chinese companies as big players, the administration says, in renewable and electric car markets. This is a terrible mistake. The IRA will push us away from the fuels and technologies where America has the lead and push us toward the minerals and technologies that are currently controlled by China. We need to change course. President Biden wants to subsidize and regulate our way to greater energy security and lower emissions. He wants to force the nation to adopt a single technology that only works in certain zip codes. This is a recipe for failure. We need to return to the pro-America, all-of-the-above energy strategy. We also need a comparable all-of-the-above vehicle strategy, a strategy that includes more efficient internal combustion engines, hydrogen fuel cells, compressed natural gas, and hybrid vehicles. These are technologies that can increase consumer choice while also reducing emissions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.